Good on your end? Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and invite Devonte on now.
I'm sorry, that was weird. It like kicked me out or something.
No worries, no worries. I'm trying to get Devonte on now, y'all. Welcome, folks. Give us 1 minute. We're going to get started shortly. I'm super excited about today's conscious conversation. Going to be talking with a good friend of mine, Devonte Whitson of Impulse Group DC. We'll get started shortly, y'all. Okay, y'all. 1 second. We're trying to figure out the technical difficulties.
There
There
I
you
am.
are.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
So I literally, 3 minutes ago, walked in the door from work.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking some time after what I imagine to be a long, hot day.
Mm-hmm.
And just a note for those of you who were able to hear the song that I was playing right before, it's from a band called the Vitamin String Quartet. So if you're interested, check them out on all streaming platforms. Um, but as I mentioned, I'm super excited about our conscious conversation today. Um, our featured guest is also a dear comrade, a dear friend, a community builder. Goes by I guess one of the names is Devonte Whitson.
Now, please.
And just a little bit about Devonte, in case you do not know. Devonte is a Mississippi native, raised in New York City, and currently serves as the president of Impulse Group DC. And Impulse Group was founded in 2010 by Jose Ramos and funded by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And they have 26 chapters worldwide,
Yep.
ranging from New York to San Francisco, Mexico City, Beijing, London, South Africa, New Delhi, and of course, here in Washington, D.C. And we'll talk about this a little bit with Devonte, but Impulse has 3 pillars that they advocate for. HIV and AIDS is 1, mental health is 2, and substance use is 3.
So if I can add one thing.
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you. As of recently, we actually we've established a 4th pillar, which is racial injustice.
Racial injustice, timely and important. Thank you so much. And I know that the DC chapter is one of the chapters helping lead the way on that too. Awesome. So, one, just thank you again, Devonte. Happy Pride. I know that we are closing out Pride Month, but the work is ongoing, and we are, as you said, and as part of the theme, we have Pride 365, so Pride all year long.
Correct.
And so that's going to be part of what we'll try to bring into our conversation today. And so I have a couple of questions for you. Can we go ahead and dive in? Is that okay?
Uh-oh, you got me nervous.
You shouldn't be nervous. You'll be fine.
Okay.
So one question that I like to ask all of our guests, in the spirit of, Ella Baker, who are your people?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I don't even actually even know how to answer that. My people. I think my people they're anybody who stands up for what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. There's so many injustices in this world, and the people who can actually speak. I think so. It's so often that people have so many opinions, but nobody ever says anything, or nobody ever makes takes a step to actually show their strength. And I'm sure that there's plenty, right? So my people are those who are actually speaking the truth and their truth, and pushing forward. Not just the people whispering behind the scenes, but the people who are actually doing the work.
Okay. As you describe your people, is there anyone in particular that you want to lift up or bring into this space? Anyone that comes to mind or that's top of mind for you?
If and this is a little bit personal. This is maybe for not even many people who are viewing this won't even know, but this is just personally my grandmother, who from as long as I can remember always spoke wisdom. She's still with me, in spirit. And one of the things I remember most about her, and there's so many stories, but one thing, I remember her being on her deathbed, and the last things that she ever said to me was, "Be proud."
Mm.
And that sticks with me to this day.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Be proud. I'm inviting your grandma into this space. I'm inviting that energy of being proud for this conversation for our lifetime. So thank you for helping ground us in that way. All right. So another question I like to ask folks is, when was the last time you felt brave?
Last time that I felt brave. That's a good one. I don't even know where to go with this, Greg. Last time I felt. Help me out. If you had to answer that same question.
Oh, look at you with the boomerang technique. You're like, look, if you're gonna ask me, I'm gonna ask you.
I mean,
Okay.
it's only fair.
Okay, no, that's a fair question. So for me, one way that I would answer that is, I feel like, especially in my work, I get to interact with a lot of different organizations and I get to talk about a variety of things. And there was one particular client that I was working with where there was a moment of harm that happened in a meeting that I was in, and I had to make a decision. Do I say something now and potentially kind of interrupt the flow of the meeting, potentially steer us off the agenda that was created by a group of people, or do I figure out a different way to address it? And I ended up saying something in the moment. That's what I decided to do. And for me, I felt brave in that. I think many other folks probably would have not said anything, but not only were we able to have a productive conversation, folks, it was a learning moment for folks. Folks were like, wow, I didn't realize that saying some of the things that we said could harm someone, and the person who was harmed, or at least multiple folks who experienced or felt the harm, actually said, I actually was surprised that we were able to kind of be open about it and to name it and to call it out, but also to help people understand how, how could it, why it caused harm, or how it impacted people in that way. And not only did it not shift the agenda, but it encouraged people to say, look, like, we should actually continue to build this into the norms and how we interact with each other moving forward. And so this is a balance. Like, it's not only respectful, but it honors, like, that we are trying to build community together. So how do we show up for each other, even if it's in this kind of way virtually, in a Zoom room, talking amongst colleagues. So now, for me, that was a recent time where I felt brave, and affirmed too by the other folks that I was with the space in.
I love it. Thank you. So for me, and I'll use a work experience as well. So I work with, I work in healthcare, and a lot of my colleagues, we are great. I'm in management, right? So my peers that are on the same level, we have a friendship. We've done brunches, we've done happy hours. We've had we have a very, very good relationship. But for myself, I know when to separate my personal feelings and my friendships with what needs to get done at work. And so there was a situation that happened recently, which my homegirl, she and I did not see eye on a situation. And it was easy for me to say, you know what, we're not even going to talk about it. It's your way, fine. But at that point, I had to step into my work mode and say, hey, you're my girl. But at the same time, A, B, and C, this is not going to work. This is the way it needs to be done. And even at that, so it was a little uncomfortable because this is the first time that I've had to have any type of conversations or any type of conflict with her. But it was very uncomfortable.
Mm.
It required me to, uh, to put my foot down, be brave in a sense, to say, hey, this is not the way we're going to do it. And things were a little uncomfortable for a couple of days. But once she and I had a conversation, we talked it out. She and I are good. So I'm confident in what my grounds were. She understood. And so, yeah, so we're good to go.
Awesome. Now, I appreciate that example, Devonte, because I feel like some of the work that I've been doing with folks is to really think about how do we actually address conflict and harm in different ways that aren't punitive, that aren't just about punishment, but that are really rooted in love for each other, love for our people and community. And we're human. So there's not going to be a time, like there's going to be a time where conflict arises. There's going to be a time where things come up. And for me, I'm trying to explore and push myself to rethink how we can be better and be in better relationship with one another. And how can we make conflict generative? And how can we use it to practice boundaries, practice our communication, practice how we respond. So thank you for sharing that example. And I hope that we can hold that and continue to model more ways of being brave and modeling how we can be in better relationship with one another. Cool. So let's dig in a little bit to on Impulse, because I know we talked a little bit about kind of what Impulse was overall and kind of how it was founded and where you all have chapters. But I would love to hear a little bit more about your origin story with Impulse. What brought you to Impulse Group? What brought you to Impulse Group DC?
Okay, so if I can be completely candid with this, my introduction to Impulse was a promo on social media that said free drinks, free entry, and I was in. That's all it took for me, right? I knew nothing about the organization. It was just an opportunity for me and Terrence to just visit this cute little party. It was, it had a T.S. Medicine, she was going to be there. It was just an opportunity to just get real cute and go. And so we walk in the door. And if you don't know anything about me, Greg, you know the fact that I like to be punctual. Okay. So this event, let's just say it started at 8. I was there 8:05, and I was ready for my cocktails. I was ready to just enjoy myself. And AJ, who is the vice president of the organization, he and the current members were kind of running around things. They started late, so they were still putting up things. AJ, who is a friend of I knew of AJ. We met at a couple of times, but we weren't as close as we are now. And I just said, hey, AJ, do you need anything? And he was like, yes, I need X, Y, and Z. I need this done. Can you help me with this? So I had to take off my cute blazer. It was cute. And I helped them with the setup. The event turned out to be really a really, really successful, great event. The president at the time, they were looking for an operations director. And Terrence, who was part of the organization at that point, had mentioned that I was good with numbers, organization, money. And so I had a conversation with Devin. It was like a trial run. I was brought on as the operations director for the DC chapter.
Awesome. And what kind of brought you to become president? Because I imagine you had that kind of introductory experience to the organization. Sounded like you had a chance to get involved in some way. You joined to be operations director. So, what inspired you or motivated you to say, look, okay, I'm ready to take this leap to be president?
Mm-hmm. So for me, even when I joined the organization, I had really no knowledge or education when it came to HIV and AIDS. I knew the basics, but I didn't have, I didn't have a background when it comes to what Impulse stood for. So, but yes, so I was good with, the operations of the business, but actually getting to know um, the fundamentals
Mm-hmm.
of what Impulse stood by and what stood for me, uh, and I tell people, it's like I didn't enter the organization with a passion. That passion grew, and so anywhere I go now is all about Impulse. I talk about Impulse. I'm proud of Impulse. I'm proud of the work that we do. We do, not even just myself, but the board members that are on that are my peers in that regard. So I was good with numbers. I had that passion for the organization at this point. The president, Devin Barrington Ward, shut out. At the time, had decided that he was going to step down from the organization. And prior to that, we've had talks about, what, I know AJ is vice president. He's so busy with what he does, but I envision you as being, following in my footsteps, being the next president. And so when he stepped down, the board voted me as president, and here I am, still continuing to work with more knowledge now up under my hat. And but I'll say, although I have the title of president, I couldn't do anything without the board that supports me.
Mm-hmm. You have a great team around you. So a follow-up question to that. So what's one of your favorite parts about the role, and what's been a challenge in the role?
So we'll start with a challenge. And again, this is, just a frank conversation, just two friends.
Yes, of course.
Absolutely. So I think one of the challenges for me is, people see the glam. They come to Impulse events, and yeah, we make things look good. We make sure that our people are having a good time. But people don't realize the work that goes behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll have people, hey, yeah, I want to join the organization. How can I be part of this? Because they think that is all the glitz and glamour, and not realizing that we actually work. And by the way, we are a voluntary organization, so nobody on the staff gets paid for the work that we do. So it's having people come in and training them, giving them the ins and outs of Impulse, and then they realize, oh, it's work, huh? And I can do without it, right? So it's actually finding the person or the people that actually have the drive and have the passion to do the work. That's what makes them, a key player in what we do. So I think that that's the challenge. One of the highlights of this position is I've met people that I would not usually have met. Great people, people that do good work for the community, people that we partnered with in the past, people that we will partner with in the future. And to be honest with you, one of the highlights is my friendship with AJ. I don't think that he and I would be as close if it wasn't for Impulse.
Mm. Well, as someone who's been to many of your events and also been seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff happen, I want to just thank you, because I've told you this before, that I was shocked to find out that y'all were volunteers. I was like, y'all, this is like a full-time job, the kind of work. And then of course, as you build relationships with the community, you throw really high scale and high profile events that you start, people start wanting your support. People are asking you to help, with some of the challenges that they have going on. And so just wanted to just say thank you for all of that you and the rest of the board continue to do, especially in some of these challenging times.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to dig in a little bit more around some of the campaigns or work that you're doing. I know one of the themes that we want to talk about today is mental health. And I know mental health has always been an ongoing issue, but as we've navigated a global pandemic, as we've seen uprising in the defense of Black lives and rising up against racial injustices. I think that's also bringing a lot of trauma and experiences for folks. And so, curious, if you can share a little bit more about what you've done personally or what you've done with Impulse to address mental health issues and concerns within our community.
Yeah, so I agree. This pandemic has thrown everybody through a loop, right? It we were used to our norms, and then this COVID-19 hit, and then it disrupted so many lives, right? Unfortunately, some of that disruption caused a lot of deaths in our country, in the world, to people we know, to people we love, family members. That alone can do so much, if I can use the word damage, to our peace of mind, especially when things happen unexpectedly. And it was on so many levels, right? You had your friends and family who unexpectedly may have passed, right? You had, your jobs that you were going to that you may have lost because they couldn't, they couldn't support paying, because there was no business going through. You have those individuals who are stuck or just so frightened to step outside, that they may have shriveled up, maybe not even physically, but mentally. And so, for myself, I took that opportunity to begin writing a little bit more, which is my piece. I've begun reading a little bit more, and different types of books, not even just nonfiction, but fiction. Like I've tried to just kind of educate myself in so many different aspects. Meditate was also very, very important to me during that time. So for me, that's how I got through it. I think there was a lot more praying. My pastor may tell you differently because he still hasn't seen me at church, but we'll talk about that later. So, but yeah, so for me, that's what I did personally. For Impulse, we, it was a shock for us because, again, like I had mentioned before, we're known for throwing these extravagant events, and now we can't. So what do we do? How do we still touch the people? How do we reinforce the great work that we do without having to be there in person, or you come to one of our venues, right? So still being able to do what we're doing now, live conversation, bringing in celebrity guests, being able to discuss, the importance of mental health and mental wellness, still providing the resources to our followers and our supporters, saying, hey, we have, therapists and counseling where you can still go to, you can still speak to somebody, and you don't have to necessarily be in person, right? You can actually do this virtual thing. So it's actually still being there and still supporting the community in which we love, just in a different way.
Definitely. So I know you all started a fund. Can you share a little bit more about what the fund does, what inspired the fund, and if share a little bit more about if folks want to support, how they can do so?
Absolutely. So we, I want to say it was about 3 years ago. And when I say we, I mean the board. We had a conversation about like the importance of mental wellness, making sure that we're healthy there. So Impulse is we have a following of making sure you get treated if you are positive, HIV positive, or if you have an STI, making sure you have the resources to go to AHL or other resources to get treated, right? So we had all of these physical resources and support systems for these individuals, but when it comes to mental health, oh my gosh, obviously that's a big thing as well, right? And it's looked down when it comes to people of color, primarily men of color, when it comes to mental health, we're used to hearing, oh, just suck it up, be a man about it, right? And so it's just not that simple, unfortunately. And so as a group, we decided that this would be a good opportunity for us to focus on mental health and mental wellness, and how do we do that? So we started up a fund, and it's fundraising, and it goes towards helping those individuals who can't necessarily afford their copays, or any type of financial. They don't have any financial backing that to seek therapy, right? So that's where we come in, and we are currently offering. We have a fund that, if somebody they're not able to afford to see somebody, we partnered with an amazing organization, the Crone Esquivel Group, who there are a group of um, counselors and therapists who primarily focuses, their demographic is mainly people of color, not primarily, but primarily, but not, just, it's not just the people of color, but I just find that for people of color, it's been difficult to find counseling, and so we partner with them. We currently have an ongoing um, fund, so if anybody wants to donate, we're certainly taking donations to help those individuals who are seeking help.
Awesome. And for those folks who want to donate, how could they donate, Devonte?
So they can either reach out to myself through Facebook, or my Facebook is Devonte Whitson, or you can go directly to our Impulse page on Instagram, which is Impulse Group DC. We're on Facebook. All you got to do is just send us a message. Hey, I'm really interested in the fund. I would love to donate. And at that point, we can provide you with our Venmo. I believe we have Venmo. We also take Cash App. There are other ways that they can donate. But yeah, definitely hit myself up. Hit us up at Impulse Group DC, and then we can link you to the right direction.
So yeah, I've been super inspired by the fund. I've been telling folks about it, not only to support, but also to use it as a model, because I know that access to therapy has, of course, the need is there, especially for people of color, especially for LGBTQ folks of color. So thank you for that important work. Are there other campaigns or issues that Impulse is working on right now that you'd like to lift up?
Well, on the helm of mental health and mental wellness is certainly, which is one of the topics we said we were going to discuss, which is body positivity. I think within the gay and LGBT community, we have to do better. And when I say we, I'm including myself, right? When it comes to being confident about you, and how you appear and how you bring yourself to others. I think that we as a community get so caught up on, the muscles and the abs, and if you don't have that, and if you're not in the gym all the time, then you're trash, or you're talked about. And I think that we need to do better as that, and because of that, we're pushing body positivity. We had last year, prior to the pandemic, we had a whole campaign of no fats, no films, and it was no fats KNOW, no fats, KNOW fat. So it was, on profiles on social media, people are so quick to say, well, looking for cute, masculine, no films, no fats, and it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful, honestly. Yes, we all have our preferences, and that's fine. Everybody has their preferences, but when it comes to a point where you are looking down or belittling, people who aren't in the gym all the time, people who have dad bods. I'm getting used to having a dad bod. Listen, I used to have a 6-pack, 4-pack, maybe. you know, I'm getting comfortable. I'm getting older. I'm getting comfortable with myself. I'm getting comfortable with my body. I'm at a point in my life where I feel good about myself. But it took too long for me to get there. And, you know, part of our goal and the body positivity push and the no fats, the no films, to get to know them, get to know their talk to them, you know, uh, it's, it's, it's very important. And just, we need to be proud of who we are, what we look like, as long as we're being healthy about it, you know. Um, just be happy with yourself. You don't need to be concerned about what other people think of you. You know, just be happy with yourself, be healthy, be happy, and live your life.
Mm. In the words of your grandma, be proud.
Be proud. Yeah.
Be
Wow.
proud. I'm still holding that with me. Um, I know that you also are huge supporters, and you all are building solidarity with the trans community here in DC and, of course, across the country and globe. But can you share a little bit more about why it's important for Impulse and why it's been important for you all as a board to, be in solidarity with the trans community, and how you all have partnered with other trans led and grounded organizations?
Absolutely. So it's terrible, and I hate to start off this way, but it's terrible uh, of the treatment that our trans brothers and sisters have received over the years, right? And this goes way back, you know, the 70s, the 80s, where individuals just wanted to be themselves, who they felt they were, you know, and we've gotten, there's so many of our trans brothers and sisters who have been killed, just for being, just trying to be who they are, you know. And it's sad. It's a sad situation. Uh, and if I can say something, because if I have to lecture anyone, you know, we 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 as a community need to do better too, right? Because it's not just the outside. It's just not, you know, the heterosexuals who are bashing, you know, both physical and emotional. Um, our trans brothers and sisters, this is our own community who looks down on them, and we again, we got to do better. We have to uplift them. So Impulse, we work, you know, in solidarity with Flux, who is also under the umbrella of AHF, AIDS Healthcare Foundation, who their focus is on the trans lives, the trans men and trans women. So pretty much how Impulse is, you know, we have a demographic of gay men. Flux actually focuses on our trans community. And so we've done events with Flux in the past, and we certainly have future plans on working with them in the future. So definitely shout out to Flux.
Awesome.
My
Yeah.
girl Taylor and my girl, gosh, I'm
Monroe.
Monroe. Oh my God, Monroe. If you are watching this, I am so sorry, and I can't forget my girl Monroe. Absolutely, they're doing the work, and I am so excited to see what they have up their sleeves.
For sure. Yeah, you may see Mama Marsha P. Johnson over my shoulder, piece of art there. I want to shout out to our trans sisters, Mama Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, and the other folks who led the Stonewall Uprising more than 50 years ago in response to police brutality at the Stonewall Inn. And, one thing that I've been reflecting on during this Pride Month and really this last year is how much, one, we're still fighting police brutality, but that it's Black and brown, queer, trans, gender nonconforming, non-binary folks who are leading the movements against racism and racial injustice, state violence today. And while I feel so grounded, and to know that Mama Marsha and Mama Sylvia are watching over us, that you know, it's while we've come so far, we still have so much more work to do. And so it truly is inspiring to me to hear about the work that Impulse is doing, Flux is doing, and how you all are so connected and grounded in community. And you know, from everything from your mental health fund to your campaigns around body positivity, like I wish I feel like my life would be so different if I had some of these resources when I was younger. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that, because in that spirit and in that honor, I feel like there's you're giving people hope, giving people inspiration, giving people a sense of belonging that I don't think we sometimes get in other places, and sometimes, you know, in homes or schools or workplaces. And so I just want to say thank you again. I don't think I can thank you enough for the work that you and Pulse and the rest of the board has and continues to do.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you know, we are in Pride. We are closing out Pride. So I guess to you know, a couple more questions here before we close up. But another question I want to ask you is, you know, what are you proud about? What do you celebrate, or what do you hope more people would celebrate in June, but you know, all year long?
Okay, I'm sorry. I think my phone cut out. If you could repeat that one more time.
Yeah. So my question was, you know, we're closing out Pride Month, but clearly we celebrate Pride all year long. And so, what's something that you are celebrating, or what's something that you are proud of, or you want other folks to be proud of as well?
You know, I just want us to live. I want people to just be proud of ourselves. Be, you know, living in DC, and what I've learned, obviously, you covered the fact that, you know, I spent some time in Mississippi and in New York. Um, Getting to know DC and getting to love DC, and I do love the city. One of the things that I had to kind of get used to is people asking, well, what do you do for a living? I've come to find out that, you know, DC, it can come across as a very pretentious city, and because of that, I think that a lot of people kind of either shy away from, you know, their occupations, or, you know, they don't want to talk about it, or maybe they even boost it up maybe higher than you know, or more than they want to claim. But my thing is, listen, if you are out there and you are working and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, whether you are working at fast food, whether you are in the government, whatever you're doing, be proud of what you're doing. You know, there's so many people who, we're so blessed, and there's so many people who want to have or wish that they could have, you know, a job in fast food, or they wish they, you know, it's, I think we're just in a city where we just need to just be stuck and be proud of who we are, be proud, and just keep pushing. You know, if you, you know, if you're not happy with where you are, whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, whether it's mentally, well, then do something about it. Push yourself. Don't be stagnant. You know, don't complain about, oh, I don't have this, or, oh, you know, this person has this, I wish I had that. No, you have what you have, and it's for a reason. But if you want to do better, keep pushing yourself. Um, you want to do better, then do better. And so certainly within this Pride year, 365, definitely be proud of who you are, what you have, and just, you know, push yourself, because we can do better as a community. And if you see your brother, you see your sister struggling, help them. You know, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to do that. You know, we're here to help each other. There's so many communities who help each other. You know, so many other races that help each other. You know, pulling each other up. You know, and I think that we, not only as people of color, but also as, you know, LGBT community, we need to do better. We need to help each other up. We see somebody struggling, and we're in a position that we can help them, and help them, even if it's a kind word, you know. So I think that we can definitely be proud of who we are, and just help others be proud of who they are.
Awesome. Yeah, I just to lift up a couple of things that I heard, because I think they're important reminders. I heard that there's dignity in all that we do, that there's like no work that should be, you know, valued more or less, and that our work shouldn't necessarily define us, right? As people, that what we do for employment or for work is one aspect of us, but not necessarily everything that we do. I also heard that we are all we got, and like we keep each other safe, and that a part of what I'm hearing, or part of what I get from what you're saying, is like we have to have each other's backs. Like if someone needs help, let's help them out. If we see someone in trouble or hurt, we need to figure out a way to support or intervene. And I think that's a really important thing to think about, because as we transform and build the world that we believe need to exist, and create the change that we believe need to change, that like that's, I think that's at the heart of it, is how are we actually caring for ourselves and caring for each other. One thing that what you said reminded me of is I finished reading this book, and it's a book called "We Do This Till We Free Us" by organizer named Miriam Kaba. And in their book, she says, "I don't believe in self-care. I believe in community care." And she said, if we spent as much time thinking about self-care and actually care, like, and actually ask those questions, or had that same level of concern for like our broader community, that our world would be very different right now. And for me, you kind of echoed, or like that resonated with me as you shared that too. And so I wanted to just offer that as an affirmation to what you're saying, as another reminder of what you're saying, and like as we are being proud of ourselves, that we also need to build that collective care and that collective community, and to build it just as strongly.
Absolutely.
Um,
Actually, I'm interested in that book.
okay.
So yeah, I'll make sure y'all get that information when we get off.
For sure. So now we reached the point in the conscious conversation where I'm going to give you opportunity to ask me questions. So do you have any questions that you would like to ask me?
Can't stop, won't stop. What inspired you to do that? To get to where you are right now. What inspired you to get that started?
Yeah. So I started Can't Stop, Won't Stop more than 10 years ago with my dear friend, Carmen Berkeley. And yes, we were actually finishing our terms as the president and vice president of the United States Student Association, which is what actually both brought us to DC. I was from California. She was from Pennsylvania, and grew up some of her life in Georgia. And so, we joked about, her being a Black woman that grew up in Pennsylvania, Georgia, me being this gay Asian from the West Coast. And but we moving to DC and working in the nonprofit sector and policy and advocacy world, we noticed that there were a lot of consultants, a lot of leaders, a lot of people who didn't look like us. Read that as who are white, who are straight, who are older men, cisgender men. And we said, what will it take for more of us, meaning more women, more queer folks, more people of color, to take on these leadership roles? And that was the essence of how we started Can't Stop, Won't Stop. To be honest with you, when I started it, I didn't know what to expect. I'd never started a business before. I didn't have any inheritance, and so it was a lot of learning and growing and research and going to different agencies trying to ask questions. And one thing that still grounds me, and how I ended up taking the firm full time. I ended up trying to figure out how to build out this company. And what really grounds me is that how can we not only create a pipeline and get more leaders that look like us to take on roles in government, in nonprofits, in different sectors, and how can we continue to create more spaces that are nurturing, that are loving, that see our full selves, where we could actually go and bring all of who we are, curves and edges, as my crush John Legend says, right? Like
Yeah.
even our curves and edges and things that maybe we don't aren't always comfortable sharing with folks. How can we create spaces where folks can feel comfortable being that? And so for me, that's actually what grounds me. And so any client that I'm working with, any space that I'm in, how do I not only model that, but how can we push everyone that we work with to take on that kind of analysis, to take on that kind of politics, to transform our homes, our workplaces, our schools, our communities, and really the world. So
That is awesome. I when I tell you, I look up to you. I admire the work that you're doing. You know, I think that, you know, when we talk about being brave in regards to the first question, just the fact that you you took the initiative and you realized that you recognized that there was a need, and you and Carmen set forth, and you guys are doing some amazing work. I'm so proud of you and the work that you're doing. Um, and you know, I really would love at some point for us to do something together. Impulse and Can't Stop Won't Stop, I would love for us to kind of partner in some regards, and we can talk about that offline. But I think that, you know, it's, as far as the community and as far as we said in the past, it's all about helping each other and uplifting each other, and it's not, this isn't just for the benefit of myself or you, right? We're looking at the community and trying to build up the community, because we see so much good in it. You know, we hear all the bad crap, right? But there's so much good in it, and you know, maybe the news may even be blanketing it, and we need to see more of it. There's so many talented and motivated people that we just need to recognize. And I appreciate you giving me this platform to speak on Impulse and myself, and let's do something. Let's build up this community into where everybody can look back and say, you know what, we were there. Look at us now, you know, and happy and proud of that. So thank you for that.
no, of course. So I'm going to say this. It's you know, I appreciate that. I don't take it lightly, but I meant what I said. That, you know, I appreciate what you do and the work that you've done. And this is kind of a soft announcement that I'll share with you and everyone who's tuning in now. But inspired by the work of Impulse Group DC, we're actually in the process of establishing a mental health fund as well. And you know, I've been, you know, like to learn about how you all have created opportunities for LGBTQ folks of color here in the District of Columbia to access therapy, access counseling, has not only been inspiring, but it's been like a driving force in me. Like, how could we create something similar more broadly? So, been working with, you know, so we're cooking some things here on Can't Stop from the Can't Stop Won't Stop family that is inspired by the work of Impulse Group. So I think it's very fitting. Oh, 1 second. Okay, there you go. It's very fitting. I think you're back. Okay. It's very fitting that I can share this initial news with you. Of course, there'll be more information coming down the pipe, but just want you to know that you know, I think we're here for each other. We're going to be supporting each other, inspiring each other, protecting each other, keeping each other safe, looking out for each other. And so, in that spirit, like, thank you to you as well.
That is awesome, Greg. I'm happy to hear that. You know, there are so many people who need that. You know, we can't do it by ourselves, and so the fact that if we as Impulse can inspire you and Can't Stop Won't Stop, and you know, who else will the two of us inspire into doing something like that? So that I love to hear that. Thank you. That's
of course. I also want to just give a quick shout out to Melissa Kelly Calibri, who is the Can't Stop, Won't Stop accessibility coordinator, and a person that also had a vision to provide mental health support, particularly for deaf folks and deaf LGBT people of color in the community. And so Melissa's leadership, vision is part of the guiding light. And so I wanted to just thank them here as well. And yeah, just thank you again, Devonte. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Look forward to further conversations, further opportunities to partner. I will take you up on that offer. Look forward to kind of scheming and thinking about what other big, bold, and audacious idea that we can put out there for our community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, thank you. Keep up the amazing work that you're doing, Greg. Don't stop. I know it's not easy.
Well, look,
it's not.
I can't stop and won't stop, Devonte.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for allowing me to be here, representing myself, representing the organization that, you know, that I'm proud of. And yeah, also just a quick plug, we're having a recruitment event sometime next month. So, you know, for those interested in the community and helping the community and they support the work that we do, just kind of keep an eye out for it on social media. Make sure you like our pages so you get informed about what's upcoming. You'll get the information about the upcoming event, recruitment event, as well as other events. Impulse DC has some very interesting and some big things coming up in the future. So make sure that you click and you like us, all of that, and get informed.
Awesome. So they're at Impulse Group DC on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. They have a pretty dope social media, if I can say so myself. Shout out to Terrence, who does Director of Marketing and Outreach for many organizations, including Impulse, and supports on the Can't Stop, Won't Stop side. And then the last shout out is to Johnny, who, as you all see, are here. Johnny is our interpreter, and with the support of our access coordinator, Melissa, our goal is to make all of our programming, including our Instagram lives, accessible with ASL interpretation. And so if you are looking for interpreters or captioners, feel free to reach out to us and we can connect you with Melissa. Thanks again, Devonte. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Happy Pride, and we'll see you at the next edition of The Conscious Conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Greg. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.